and welcome to, meanwhile, the 8th webinar of the Startup Germany Tour. This one is about access to industrial solution and how to bring your innovation to Germany's industrial heartland, North Rhine-Westphalia. My name is Simone Hermann, and I'm responsible for innovation, industry, and industrial networks at the Chamber of Industry and Commerce in Dortmund. And on behalf of our organization here in this chamber, I'm happy to welcome all of you to this webinar, which gives you closer insight into the opportunities as an international startup in the field of industrial solutions. With our Startup Germany tour, we would like to introduce you to one of the most dynamic and attractive business locations in Germany. In a little while, you'll get to know a lot more about it. This is North Rhine-Westphalia. In addition to that, we want to prepare you for successful engagement here in our region. Therefore, we offer you an exciting webinar program consisting of 10 different topics. And luckily, if you just joined in now, you missed already 7 of them, but there's another 2 to come during the next days. For those of you who are not familiar with the tour, we're going to send you the link into the chat so you don't miss the last 2. The Startup Germany tour is organized by the Chambers of Industry and Commerce in North Rhine-Westphalia, and with a special commitment of the chambers in the Ruhr area plus the one in Düsseldorf. And the tour is supported by some important partners like the Ministry of Economic Affairs, Industry, Climate Action, and Energy of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, who is your host today, and NRW Global Business. Furthermore, it's NRW Bank and Ernst & Young. And as the chambers let me switch the slide if it works. This one. As the chambers in NRW, we are your central point of contact for many topics with which you can start your business in NRW, and we're at the same time your bridge to other institutions that can help you as well. Just in order to give you a quick overview, you see here which situations we could help you in our network. We can give you advice how to set up your company here. We give you overviews to how you do your financing business, give you the right contacts in the regions. If you got any trouble with customs formalities or foreign trade registration, you can ask us. And the good thing is we got a whole network of 1.2 million member companies in this region of chambers, which could all be your business partners. And we also got a good connection to the chambers of the German chambers abroad. And this way you have intensive cooperations with partners of the startup ecosystem here in the region too, and also in other countries. So I don't want to take too much of your time and better hand over to Björn Schubert, who's of the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Industry, Climate Action and Energy of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And he will give you some more introduction into this topic. Björn, it's your turn.
Thank you so much, Simone. Yeah, welcome everybody. A pleasure to be here together with you and with excellent startups from abroad. My name is Björn. I'm working for the Ministry of Economic Affairs for quite a couple of years now, and I brought some appropriate slides with me today to give you a very briefly, but hopefully important overview about the industrial sector here in NRW and why NRW, our federal state, is the economic powerhouse here in Germany and also in Europe. So let us start kind of smooth with a picture. Next slide, please. With this picture, which combines and shows you why NRW is so economic powerful. I suggest maybe you get an impression where NRW lies on this map. I suggest you already found NRW. You're right on the right path. It's in the middle, in the front where the lights are. And indeed, NRW is where the lights are because our industry works the whole night and the whole day. And the lights are always on in NRW. and it gives you an impression why NRW is the region with the highest electricity density here in Europe, because we do have the highest amount of electricity consumption, because our industry is so important and so big here in our federal state. And next slide, please. And to go another bit more into details, I brought you some figures which compounds why NRW with regard to the GDP is so important. In fact, our GDP is over 790 billion euros. Next slide, please. And this brings us to another important information, and that is that NRW, as if we were a sovereign state here, we will rank on place 6 with regard to the other sovereign states here within Europe, with regard to France, Italy, and Spain. And our economic power is so high that we will ranked on the 6th place in front of Switzerland, Poland, and Sweden. And this makes us indeed, next slide, please, the industrial heartland, not only of Germany, but within Europe. We are indeed the strongest industrial region in Europe. With our enterprises, we generated sales of over 330 billion euros per year. And our biggest, to give you an example, our biggest industrial employer here is the mechanical engineering branch with over 199 employees. And indeed, 19% of our employed population work in the industrial sector. And next slide, please. This makes us so important. And to give you a quick overview over the top industrial sectors here within our state, I omitted the figures, but to just give you an impression which top 5 branches are here key. Ranked on the first place is the mechanical engineering. We're very strong in the chemical industry, food, beverages, metal production and processment, and the electrical engineering. Next slide, please. And this is so important, and these branches are so important for the generating by their demand, and that the many service providers and the service sector is right now the most important, with over 70% contributor to our economic output. And this is because of our industrial companies here, of the industrial sector, who's looking for a service provider who brings new solutions, who will bring new innovation into this company. And this makes us indeed not only an industrial business location, but industrial related service location. That's a key point here, because 25% of our sales are already generated by industry related services. And this makes us a very important service provider location, because 22% of all people here employed in this sector work still in the service provider sector. So next slide, please. So on the one hand, we are very strong with regard to the old economy, but we are also very in a transformation process which makes us to becoming the leading digital location, not only in Germany, but in Europe. And this is so because 1/3 of all German ICT sales are already generated in our federal state. And what is important for you guys is that over 20% of all digital German startups are started their business location and their business development here in our federal states. Next slide, please. And this made us also to become #1 within Germany as an investment location. We do have already over 20,000 foreign companies here in NRW. And with regard to Germany as the host state, we have over 20% of all foreign companies in Germany, which are based in our federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And to give you just a few names, our major investor countries are the Netherlands, Japan, USA, China, France, and Spain. And next slide, please. To sum it a little bit up and to give you an impression what our key pillars are here within our Ministry of Economic Affairs and on which future tasks and challenges we are already working on. This is especially the climate issue, because our aim in the upcoming years and maybe to the year 2040 or 2045 is bringing and making NRW, our federal state, to become the first modern climate neutral industrial location here in Europe. And we try this to promote and to transform our business location by promoting innovations such as the quantum computing, AI, and cybersecurity. And another key pillar by bringing our federal state to become more fasting climate neutral is to support our NRW startup business and ecosystem, and to combine the old industry and bring together and start and establish new collaboration networks with the startups by several initiatives. This is the Excellence Startup Centers and the Gründungsstipendium NRW. And to speak not too much, next slide, please. I will hand over to my colleagues from one of these specific network here within our industry ecosystem, and these are the guys from the NMWP cluster, we call it. And I would like to hand over to Daniel and to Oliver to give us an insight and fruitful impression how the quantum computing and how your cluster supports us to make the industrial solution and the industrial ecosystem here more innovative and more competitive in the future. So thank you very much. And the floor is yours, Daniel and Oliver.
Yeah, thank you very much, Björn. With respect to our time, I will start just presenting what we are doing in quantum computing, and then I will hand over to Ollie to present the hardware startup support we provide in our iTech NRW accelerator program. So I suppose that you are now capable of seeing my screen, right? And I have a lot of screens now overlapping, and I have to find the right way to present here. And here we go. So quite recently, I'm very happy. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to present you our activities in the field of quantum computing that we are kind of doing as a service to our Ministry of Economic Affairs and Science Affairs, which are both equally supporting this network, which is named Ein Quantum NRW. And the joke is only funny in German because in English, Ein translates to one, and then the acronym for Education, Innovation, Networking is not valid anymore. My name is Daniel, and I'm happy to tell you where we're coming from and why we are doing what we are doing. So Ein Quantum NRW brings together science and industry from North Rhine-Westphalia in order to tackle tech transfer. And our mandate comes from the Zukunftsvertrag of the federal state, which is the coalition agreement between the political parties, the Christian Democratic Union and the Green political party. And there are two sentences that are most relevant for us. Sentence number one is that we will develop North Rhine-Westphalia into a leading location for innovations in AI, quantum technologies, there you have it, cybersecurity and data science in various areas of society, business, and science. I have to mark here that the German wording applies. So if there is any translational error, the German word is what is valid in this regard. And the second statement is we want to make North Rhine-Westphalia a technology leader in quantum technologies. To this end, we are bundling our state's strongest location in business and science with the Ein Quantum NRW Quantum Computing Competence Center. And Björn, you mentioned that we have a very great digital infrastructure. And last Monday, Mr. Minister President or Prime Minister Hendrik Wüst was giving a press conference together with Microsoft here close by to where I'm living, mentioning that he wants to transform, or that the Rheinisches Revier, the brown coal area, has to be transformed, and they want to transform it into a digital and quantum region. And with this, he emphasized how important quantum is for that transformation approach. And it goes in hand with the development, the installation of hyperscaler data centers in the Rhine region, which is a strong commitment, if you ask me, from Microsoft, who really is saying, okay, we are coming here and we are participating and we help you with that structural change. We want to help people, and we would like to bring AI to the people. And the next step beyond classical computing is future of computing, which we are working closely with a lot of partners in North Rhine-Westphalia, and quantum computing is one of those. And here is from the press conference from some years ago, where my Prime Minister Wüst mentioned that the new competence center brings science and great combines the science and great economic power in our state. And it is true, in no other region in Germany has so much expertise, infrastructure, and networking as North Rhine-Westphalia. And I think it's just 4 days ago that another quantum machine was announced to be installed at the research center Jülich, where we now have quite a reasonable number of quantum machines that are installed. There is a D-Wave Pegasus system. There will be, as far as I am informed, a quantum simulation system from the French company Pascal, and also an IQM machine is installed. Also, I expect more to come. One Quantum, NRW, has been allocated 20 million for the next 5 years. 7.5 million of this investment comes from the universities themselves. 12.5 million are provided by the state. To be fair, this is not so much money, but it emphasizes how fruitful and cooperative our network here in North Rhine-Westphalia is. So if you come, ground is made that you can plant your seed and grow your business. And here are some numbers. Per year, we have 150 bachelor degrees and 300 master degrees in quantum relevant studies. We have 5 million in funding for an education program in the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And in this program, 10 universities are developing a joint teaching concept. We have the first quantum internet node that is developed in Aachen. We have hybrid quantum computing already at place, so you can start and use it. And we are developing the first European and German quantum computer at the Research Center Jülich and the University of Siegen. Maybe some of you heard of that startup, Electron. Quantum businesses are made in North Rhine-Westphalia because besides Electron, we have a second startup that is working in Aachen on the development of quantum computing full stack approach. It is ARC Systems. The entire value chain of quantum technologies can be found here. We have machinery that is used to build quantum chips. We have microsystems engineering that is building the platines where you fit it in. And we also have cryostate. We have electronics that you need to control the qubits and for sure to read out. And many corporations and many corporates and early adopters have the headquarters in North Rhine-Westphalia. We will hear later on something on chemistry, which is among the early adopters of technologies and pushing the limit quite far. Also headquartered in North Rhine-Westphalia. Within our network at the moment, already 50 plus players are active. We have 7 working groups in one Quantum NRW, and we have 1 coordination office that is handling all that activity, promoting quantum inside and outside of North Rhine-Westphalia, because we believe that with our strength, we can participate and we can access the benefits that quantum is providing to our society, but also to our businesses. Here you see some logos that are active, where we have great connections with. These are 13 companies plus 10 universities and 3 non-university research organizations. So it's not only one Fraunhofer Institute, but it's a lot of Fraunhofer Institutes, for instance. Nearly all universities and an increasing number of universities of applied sciences that are also already active. Here you see some names. I will skip that in the interest of time. Maybe here's some news. We are currently developing a roadmap together with the whole community. And with this, I'm very grateful for your attention, and I would like to hand over the mic to Olli.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I also try to share my screen and then directly proceed with also the project High-Tech NRW, which is a high-tech and deep-tech accelerator for the federal state. Just a short feedback, if one can see my screen.
Yes.
That's cool. Thank you very much. So yeah, as Daniel has already mentioned, and first of all, hello also from my side. My name is Oliver. I'm a program manager of High-Tech NRW and also part of NMWP, accelerating and streamlining deep tech activities in North Rhine-Westphalia. One hard project of us and also of the federal state is the so-called high-tech and deep tech accelerator. And we are especially helping hardware-based ventures to get on the next level in the earliest stage, actually. So we help early stage high-tech and deep tech startups by mentoring and coaching, by matchmaking to investors and customers, but also by dedicated expert workshops, for example, about fundraising or IP management or go-to-markets, etc. Until 2025, we will run 6 batches of high-tech NRW. Right now, so just giving you a short overview, we are working together with 120 plus mentors from several domains, for example, from venture capital, from SMEs, from bigger corporates. We maintain networks to the leading universities in North Rhine-Westphalia, and we are also maintaining a network to further multipliers, like different networks, and another one will also be presented afterwards with ChemStars, but also Circular Valley and several like topic networks we are building bridges to. Who is we? We is myself, but also my dear colleague Kirsten and Heinz, and together we want to build up this platform between science, industry, and investors. Everything under the mission strengthening high-tech and deep-tech ventures. And as said, we are working together with a broad network of universities, facing and scouting especially startups and startup projects in the fields of new materials, nanotechnologies, microsystems, nano and microelectronics, but also very recent and very up-to-date like optical technologies and quantum technologies with like deep insights into networks like ein Quantum NRW. But we are also looking for application fields of exactly these kind of technologies, for example, in the area of climate tech, industrial tech, or also medical technologies and healthcare. And yeah, so a short overview what kind of startups we are looking for. So we are looking especially for hardware-based ventures in a high-tech or in a deep-tech phase. I think this border is like a little bit fluent here, but we are always talking about startups and new venture projects with a high degree of innovation, with high capital needs, with high market risks, and also a high technological risk. And you as a startup could be fitting to this accelerator when you have a TRL from 3+, and when you are like directly hardware based, for example, as a new material startup or a quantum technology startup, or when you have like concrete and direct verticals to hardware, especially like in machinery and in industrial tech. We often see like AI-enabled companies that have a direct footprint on heavy assets, on machinery, industrial, etc. And yeah, with like this broad spectrum of startups and domains we are working with, we face always the same challenges when working together with startups, because especially these hardware-based and very complex ventures from very science-driven domains, they all face long and complex development cycles. They have exactly these very high capital needs. They need early access to infrastructure, to the industry and to capital, and they like by definition, they have a proof of concept phases of several years. So all these startups we are working together, they are facing the same challenges, and this is like where we put our network together and our program. So under the credo of being the right context at the right time, we accelerate 10 ventures per batch in a 12 weeks program, especially with this concierge matchmaking to investors and key industry partners, but with expert workshops, online review meetings where we build bridges between other networks and our core team, but also with a peer-to-peer exchange to other startups. And the whole program actually is being organized digitally. So also very attractive for foreign and like abroad startups. But nevertheless, we also do 3 live events. It's on one hand like this kickoff event. For our 4th batch, it was taking place last week. And we also have a midterm event for our startups only, like getting to know always this kind of peer-to-peer exchange. And maybe the celebration of the whole batch is a demo day where the startups also can win a prize money of in some 20,000 euros. Yes, that being said, I mean, the core of the network are the people behind. Everybody like a veteran or a complete expert in his domain, especially when it comes to hardware, to industrial tech, to B2B business models, and to production overall. And with these people, we want to generate success in the like in a very efficient way. So when you are in the very, very early stage, we want to look for a product market fit together with you, or when you have already found that, we can define a venture story, an investment story, or also when a product is defined and capital is there, we can just help by positioning the startup and creating visibility. Yes, that being said, I think the logo wall should not be missing here. So we define ourselves as the platform for several players and call also our alumni, our network, our mentors as the deep tech family. And this is like how we want to grow. And yeah, part of that strategy will also be to attract startups we actually don't know yet, like from the universities and networks we maintain, but further to also see like, okay, which synergies, which potentials described by Björn and also by Daniel could be actually, could actually be accelerated also with international startups. Yes, cool. So here you also see the contact details of my colleague Heinz and myself. Feel free to screenshot that. And right now we are in our 4th batch. It's running till June, and our 5th batch will start in September. And to all international startups, to all interested people here, feel free to also apply, but also to book a meeting with me, with Daniel, or also with Heinz. We are happy to answer your questions and also to be the soft landing pad for deep tech startups here in North Rhine-Westphalia. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Daniel, thank you, Oliver. And we are very proud and glad that we have another expert with us today. And this is the colleague Stefan Weber, maybe, who will introduce what the ChemStars NRW are striving for and why the chemistry industry is so important to fulfill our challenges to make NRW quite competitive in the transformation process. So thank you, Stefan. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Björn, and hi, Eiko. I'm not sure why I can't see you, but nice to have you here as well. Yeah, so my name is Stefan. Great to be here. I'm leading a project called ChemStars. We are an initiative from the chemical industry, and yeah, we are backed by some large companies from the chemical industry. You can see them here: Bayer, Braskem, Covestro, Currenta, Evonik, and Henkel. And we are co-financed by the local Ministry of Economic Affairs, and we support scientists and startups from the chemical space to build successful ventures. So why do we think that NRW is a perfect location for chemistry-related ventures? So there are 160 million people living within a radius of 500 kilometers around the state capital of Düsseldorf. And if we zoom in a little bit further, we have 40 million people living within the trilateral region in North Rhine-Westphalia, the Netherlands, and Flanders. And the region is home to the world's most powerful economic chemical industry clusters worldwide. So there are 350,000 people directly employed in the chemical industry with a turnover of 180 billion euro. And in order to innovate, you just don't need any people, but you need the right people with the right background and, of course, the right ideas and technologies. And in North Rhine-Westphalia, we have the densest research network in Europe. There's a large pool of tech ideas and talent. And in addition, with NRW being the number one region in the German chemical industry, there's a substantial number of potential suppliers, customers, and partners. And last but not least, we heard it before, NRW is also famous for its network structures. So there's a unique landscape of association and clusters like BioNRW, CLIP, Industrial Biotech, ChemCologne, a network for companies in the chemical industry, Kunststoffland NRW, but also Hightech NRW, Cluster NMWP, we heard it before. And in addition, there's a lot of pre-seed money that's non-dilutive for founders from academia, which often helps to make the first step. So what's our idea and what's our take why the chemical industry is so important and needs innovation and startups? So we believe that on our way to climate neutrality and circularity, the chemical industry needs many new ideas, technologies, and business models. A strong startup ecosystem will make an important contribution here. So that's why we are here to help create more and better startups. Our mission is twofold. So on the one hand, we try to inspire scientists to become entrepreneurs. I'm not sure if you know about this. In Germany, scientists, especially chemists, they don't have so many touch points within their academic education with entrepreneurship and startups. So we go into the research institutions, we talk to scientists, we give workshops, we have an idea competition so that we in the future have more startups and more scientists bringing their technologies into the real world. And on the other hand, the second pillar of our mission is that we empower scientists to build successful ventures to increase the likelihood of success of these founders and startups. So I mentioned it, we do seminars and workshops at university. We help scientists to apply for public funding grants, and we run an idea competition, which is very, very early stage, in which scientists can try themselves out and see if startup and entrepreneurship is something for you. They can check out if there's value within their technologies that can be commercialized. And we have this mentioned support program for startups in which we try to increase the success rate of these startups. The program is 6 months long. It's 100% individual, so there's no fixed agenda. We work with the teams on their individual challenges. They can decide when they'd like to start, so there are no fixed starting points. And we as ChemStars, we are like the core lead mentors for the startups in our program. We help them on any topics regarding technology, for example, how to scale up your technology from lab to industrial scale. We also have a business-related topic, fundraising, of course, always a very important topic for deep tech-related companies. And whenever we don't have the answer to specific questions, we may call our corporate partners and ask them for help. So if there's a startup, for example, that's not knowing exactly how to scale up their technology from lab scale to the next bigger scale, we can maybe call our friends from Evonik and ask, hey, do you have an expert within Evonik who knows how to scale up this technology and can help the startups? And then we connect the dots and bring these two worlds together, that we have a know-how transfer from industry into the startup ecosystem. And we can do this on any topic that you like to have, that you can think of. And we always say that we have access to all of the knowledge that's inside the chemical industry by having such great partners like you see below. And they're doing a very, very good job in supporting us and the startups in our network. So far, we supported startups roughly 2 years, 2.5 years. We had 29 teams in our program so far. Some of the teams have also been part of High-Tech NRW. So we also work together here, and we are quite proud to say that the teams in our program were able to secure more than 65 million euro in public and private capital, which was raised by these startups. And for me, this really shows that the companies that we work with, they're really working on something that matters. They can create impact, and these teams, they will find money to successfully develop their ventures further. Our focus, I mean, we're Chemstars, and of course we are interested in all technologies that contribute to the sustainability transformation of the chemical industry. If you'd like to cluster this, so everything that's related to going circular, going climate neutral, going digital, but also safe and sustainable chemicals is of interest for us. If you want to talk more about disciplines, so of course hardcore chemistry, industrial biotech, material science, and digital, with touch points to chemistry, biotech, and materials. That's it from my side. Thanks for your attention. If you'd like to know more about us, about what we do, about the chemical industry, feel always free to reach out to myself or my colleagues. If you'd like to know more, scan the QR code. It's our newsletter. We won't spam you, but you will get notification about jobs in our startups, stories from our network, and insights and what we do. And yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for giving us a perfect overview about the Chemstars NRW and why the chemistry is one of our key drivers for transformation. So, and now we are very happy to have Eiko with us today. Eiko, I would like to hand over. You're an entrepreneur, you're a young founder here in NRW from an industrial startup called Alteva. So we're happy to hear some new inputs from your side, why our business location is so fine and so great to start a business here, and how you used and elaborate the potential for getting in touch with industrial companies and why they are so important to raise up your business here. So the floor is yours. Thank you so much, Eiko.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's also quite funny that I was just after Stefan, because Chemstars was probably the first program. I think it was the first program that we actually participated in. And I recognized a lot of the events on the photographs, so that was a nice touch. We're Alteva, we're a spin-off from the German Aerospace Center here in Cologne. Our entire focus is basically the future of humanity and getting to a sustainable future in balance with nature. And the entire topic that we're looking at is pretty much emissions in transportation. I don't know why there we go. So greenhouse gas emissions in transportation, including the movement of vehicles from cars to trucks, airplanes, as are shown here, but also in agriculture, construction, mining, ships basically contribute about 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions across all sectors. And for most of those, we could potentially actually use electrification. According to different studies, we could electrify about 85 to 90% of all applications. However, and this is where the problem is, current batteries are just way too heavy. So my car has a battery that weighs half a ton. If I scale that up to a truck or a plane, the entire business model falls apart, and that the range of that vehicle is going to be significantly reduced to the point that it will actually not be able to move anymore. So what we're doing, instead of using regular batteries, is that we're using lithium sulfur batteries. These have been around since the 1960s. They have the promise to be up to 3 times lighter than what is currently used. So what that translates to is basically we could reduce those 500 kilos in my car down to 150, 170 kilos, or we could keep the 500 kilos and just put up to 3 times more energy into it. Now, that's more or less interesting for EVs, but it's actually really interesting when you're talking about lightweight applications. So, for instance, in airplanes, or where the entire system is already extremely heavy, for instance, in trucks and agricultural equipment. On top of that, sulfur is a globally available and environmentally benign material that leads to significantly lower costs. So you would be thinking, okay, why aren't these things everywhere? And the problem is in the sulfur, and sulfur is highly reactive, which means that the batteries only last about 30 charge cycles under pristine conditions. So that's not an interesting business model to pursue, because we're not going to be able to actually get a lot of mileage out of these battery systems. We would have to keep replacing them over and over again. And that's where we come in. So at the German Aerospace Center, we've developed a novel material called carbon cage, which basically captures that carbon, which actually captures the sulfur in nanopores and then protects it from the electrolyte. That way we get rid of all the degradation reactions, but we still have the electrochemical reactions. And with that, we've been able to manufacture prototype batteries that have already lasted not 30, but closer to 400 and even 500 cycles. And this is where it gets extremely interesting. So we have the potential to actually build products where we have a up to 3 times lighter battery made from sustainable materials, which also then goes into the circularity aspect, because we can actually recuperate all of that while still achieving the same lifetimes as the battery systems today. And that way we can unlock completely new business models, particularly in aviation, that haven't been able to be electrified today. Yeah, so where do we start? We're basically starting with the most lightweight equipment. So we're going basically from drones and then over to like gardening materials, also e-bikes, not shown here, but then to more exotic applications in space and aviation, and also everything in ground transportation. So this is about a 500 billion euro market, which is only going to keep growing like crazy. There's 2 of us now. We're originally from actually Cologne, Düsseldorf region. Went to university here. My co-founder Ida is taking care of more of the technical side. I'm more on the CEO side, if you wish. And now a little bit to why we think that we can actually do this best in the Cologne-Bonn region where we are right now. There were actually a couple of slides in Stefan's presentation just now, just talking about the sheer amount of people in the region, and also the sheer amount of industry. And that's sort of what we see as well. So we started out with the DLR in Cologne. That's basically where we are. Then we sort of had a look at, okay, where are all the battery research centers? And there's sort of 2 larger clusters that are around around Münster and Aachen, and then also going into Braunschweig. So this is quite a nice access that you can basically access with 1 hour ICE ride. And then, of course, you also have southern Germany, particularly around Ulm and Munich, where there's a couple of things happening. So that's we sort of looked at where we could extend our network. The other thing is then, where are the battery production centers? And there's actually not a lot of them, but nevertheless, that's doable in terms of travel. Where's venture capital? And this is an actually really interesting one, because venture capital, you would think, is actually mostly in Berlin. However, what we're looking at is deep tech venture capital is willing to invest into hardware as well. And there we have to say the Munich region is actually probably the most active region in the whole of Germany. There are a couple of funds in Berlin that are also active, particularly in clean tech. They also do deep tech. So some of them are trying to do like a clean tech software approach, which I have yet to see work, because at some point we will have to build hardware. And then there's a couple of funds, including the High-Tech Gründerfonds, who's basically the biggest early stage investor in Germany, with over 700 investments in early stage capital, located actually in Köln-Bonn. However, all of these funds are pretty much investing in the whole of Germany. So like Cyclize, that were also just on one of those slides, they come from Karlsruhe, and they just were able to raise a massive seed round, which more power to them, because they're doing great work. Then when it comes to population, we're sort of looking at talent. And these are the top 50 universities in terms of size in Germany. we see that there's obviously a clustering around Berlin with the 3 universities and then the University of Potsdam, 2 universities and the Hochschule in München, and then a massive amount just in about a 200-kilometer radius right around where we are, not including obviously everything in the Netherlands, which is also very interesting to us. And then lastly, network. And this really goes down to, okay, where are the big talent networks that we can get into when it comes to startups? And we were in both the High-Tech NRW and the Entrepreneurs Incubator. Both of those are extremely well thought out programs that gave us a massive network to go into. I would say High-Tech NRW is at not from the company stage, but from its genesis. It's at an earlier stage, I think, where Oliver, we're just getting into batch 4, right? Whereas Entrepreneurs is now in batch 15. So obviously they've had a lot more learning. And we also have to remember that the entire network around Munich with the Unternehmertum is vastly more integrated. So the question is always location, location, location. So where do you actually go? This is just looking at Germany, where we're just looking at the at battery centers in Germany. Although we have to say, when you look at Europe itself, Germany is actually pretty well set up. So that's already a pretty good starting point. And for us, there were basically 2 big decisions around, well, North Rhine-Westphalia, where we originally also started, but then also the Unternehmertum surroundings. I would say from a venture perspective, the Unternehmertum is actually somewhat better set up than the systems in NRW. I think we have everything around here in North Rhine-Westphalia that we need in order to get ideation, such as at ChemStars, all the way through to large-scale ventures. I think the venture scene hasn't quite yet caught up all that way, and I think we need more networking in order to get all these different players together. I see that things are moving in the right direction. If I compare that to the first startup I founded in 2016, where we were basically alone in the world. So there's definitely a lot happening. And yeah, so I think North Rhine-Westphalia is on a good track, but Munich has a head start. That being said, for any entrepreneur out there, you should really have a look at your industry and sort of see, where are your customers, where are the research centers that you want to work together with, where are also the suppliers that you need to work with, where's the talent that you need, because maybe you need very specific talent that you will not get in the one or the other location. So yeah. I really enjoyed our time at High-Tech NRW, and I'm happy to participate in all kinds of events around North Rhine-Westphalia. I also really like sorry about that, like the system around Munich. However, at this point, just due to the stage where we're at and the research centers that we're working together with and the talent sourcing we're doing, we're definitely staying in NRW, at least for the foreseeable future. We'll see how this map looks like in a couple of years. And yeah, you can see both of those programs here. We did a couple of other things as well. We were actually part of the ChemStars NRW, so thanks to Martin on that again. And use the resources you have, and if you have any questions, then I'm happy to answer them now or later. What's the idea?
I think we're through, so we can start the Q&A session. Thank you. Thank you so much, Eiko, for your great insights.
You want to do it, or should I take over now?
If you would like, if you don't mind, Simona, please take over and get us through the Q&A session, and we are happy to answer all your questions, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. First of all, thank you, Eiko, Stefan, Oliver, Daniel, and Björn, of course. In case you got any questions, just feel free to, don't hesitate to write anything in the chat. We got understood everything, or if there are any questions you would like to ask. They're not that curious. At least they say it's the presentations are interesting.
I think they're all too shy. So I will try
Nice.
to be the icebreaker with regard to Daniel and Oliver and Stefan. Please, could you precisely describe why NRW is so competitive with regard to, let's say, Bavaria or the other federal states within Germany? Because Eiko, I think you made your point to elaborate a little bit on the great networks, not only the funding, but the networks which are key, which bring both sides together. Maybe in your point of view, Daniel, is it right? Is it correct? Or how do you support startups here in NRW to bring you to the right customer and so on, to the R&D institutions?
Well, first of all, you do not expect me to say no, do you? But in fact, this wouldn't be lying. So yes, it is the best place, and I was born in Hessen, so I don't have any North Rhine-Westphalian roots. I'm eligible to say that. And you mentioned one important point. It's the research institutes. It's the highest density in Germany of research institutes providing lots of talents, what Eiko already mentioned. So I think one of the biggest benefits of North Rhine-Westphalia is that it is a crowded place. It is a really crowded place. There is everything going on in here. You have a lot of industrial tech here. You have a long history in innovation. I mean, when you start at the Ruhr region, this is where the whole industrial revolution was started. And since then, a lot of innovation is coming from that area. I remember there is a startup from high-tech NRW batch that is located at one of those cradle of deep techs, the RUB, the Ruhr University Bochum. They are building the next generation computer chip that is drastically reducing the amount of energy that you need, which is a great story, if you ask me, from a region that provided energy to overall Germany, if not Europe, to the next step in innovation to say, okay, how do we use that energy in a very, very, I would say, efficient way, because we can train now artificial intelligence with a significantly reduced amount of information that is needed just simply by mimicking our brain. And I think this emphasizes the core strength that we have in North Rhine-Westphalia, that is highest density of universities providing a lot of talented skills and workforce, but also producing lots and lots of extremely creative people that have brilliant minds and ideas. Now going on to that, really to push those limits when it comes to the next, I would say, industrial revolution, being that state that made it, that brought industrial revolution to this country. And then, okay, in Munich, they were a bit ahead of us, but I think all of that wealth, all that benefits that we have from this industrial revolution was born in this state. And I'm pretty confident that the next great ideas and great minds are already on their way.
So maybe to add up on this, my take from let's say chemical point of view. So or let's put it in general. So if you're a startup or a company deciding where you want to go, of course, you first have to look at yourself, what you're looking for. If you're a digital startup, you maybe go to Berlin or you go to Munich. If you're in the biotech space, maybe Munich as well. But if you're especially looking into industry or chemical related solution, North Rhine-Westphalia is the place to be. We have a lot of companies here. We have a lot of networks here. And especially the companies, they are in need for innovative technologies and solutions, because they're currently in one of the biggest transformation processes ever towards greenhouse gas neutrality and circularity. And there's huge demand and huge potential for startups to collaborate. And we work together with a lot of startups also outside from North Rhine-Westphalia. So we have, for example, a team in Stuttgart. I think Eiko mentioned Cyclize, so a great team, and they're in our program, and they told us Stuttgart is great. So there's a lot of automotive companies, and if you are in that space, it's perfect. But our customers are actually companies in the chemical space. and they are looking forward to move to North Rhine-Westphalia, because we also have a lot of chem parks where they can build and set up their production plant, and they have their off-takers, their customer, then directly at their doorstep. So a recommendation to all startups or companies: see what you're looking for and then find the perfect location for you. North Rhine-Westphalia has a lot to offer. I think we mentioned it quite some time, from the people, from the customers, the research institutions. Very good conditions here, and everyone is quite open to welcome you and help you the best way possible.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Yeah. Then if nobody else has a question, I would say thank you. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for the audience to watch the presentations, and thanks to the speakers also.